Good evening, everybody. My name is Sam Harrell. I'm the information officer with the Alaska Complex Incident Management Team here on the Aspen Acres Fire, southwest of Pueblo. This is an informational presentation from the Alaska team. Going to have presentations from our incident meteorologist, our fire behavior analyst, and our operations chief. We also have some agency administrators here. We have, here we go, Joe Lobiondo, and I practiced that, Joe, sorry about that. Joe Lobiondo from the Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control. Jim Pitts, who's our agency administrator here from the U.S. Forest Service. And we'll wrap up the presentation with Jake Livingston, our incident commander for the Alaska team. You'll be able to put comments in the comments portion. You can put questions in there. We'll be answering those as we go through this event. We'll also try and cherry pick a few of those that we can answer during the presentation here. So enough about me. Let's bring Sophia Adams up here, our incident meteorologist.
Thank you. Good evening, Sophia Adams, incident meteorologist. So last night we had extremely low relative humidity values, around 5 to 10%, that persisted into the early morning hours. This, paired with a west-northwest wind, allowed for an extreme run of the fire. We do today have a red flag warning in effect until midnight. We are expecting strong west-southwest winds this evening to kick up around 7 p.m. and last through 10 p.m. Those winds could also gust up to 40 miles per hour. We will see winds shift after midnight and come from the northwest. Those winds will also stay elevated, around 15 to 25 miles per hour, with gusts up to 40 miles per hour through the early morning hours. As if that's not enough, we'll see another wind shift with a cooler front coming in from the east. That will bring lighter winds, around 5 to 10 miles per hour from the east. And tomorrow we will see continued warm and dry conditions, with our relative humidity dipping down to 8 to 12%. We will also see our thunderstorm chances increase. So we have a 30% chance of lightning with thunderstorms forming over the higher terrain to our northwest. That could bring gusty outflow winds. And unfortunately, those thunderstorms will not bring much precipitation with it as either. As we move into the Sunday timeframe, we have an increased chance of precipitation, so around 40 to 50% chance of thunderstorms, a little bit of a higher chance of precipitation, but still quite low. And then for the rest of the week, we are tracking a push of moisture that will bring an increased chance every day of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. It will stay warm and dry through next week as well, with hot temperatures. So that is all I've got. I will be around for questions after the briefing.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, Eric.
Yes. Go ahead and put up the ERC chart, please. Yeah, good evening. Eric Trimble, Fire Behavior. So I'm going to try to paint a picture here for everybody to see kind of what, where, and why, what's going on. And what I want to first do is show everybody what we call energy release component graph. And essentially, it's think of it as a measure of fuel dryness, basically. And where we're at sitting right now, this line here is our average. This is the red up here is the max, historical max. And as you can see, this yellow line here, the lime green line, it is actually exceeding the maximum ERCs. That paints the picture that essentially we got fuels out there. Think of kiln dry lumber. We got fuels out there that are just as dry as kiln dry lumber, very extremely receptive fuels. And all we need to do is obviously put ignition to that. We need to put topography to that, and obviously the wind and the RH, and also an unstable atmosphere, which we've been seeing with basically the systems we've been seeing in here. Go ahead and show the map of the fire, please. So painting the picture of the fire, everyone knows basically how the fire started up in this area here, and essentially it's been wind and terrain driven and fuel driven. It's been following the fuels for the most part, and the wind. You know, you guys been seeing winds as high as in the 40 mile per hour category, and these fires made different runs driven by southwest, west winds into the east. It's made runs up to about 6 miles last night. It made runs even before that, 2 to 3 miles a day. All the boundaries in through Beulah. Sorry, guys. You can screw me on that one. So I want to paint this picture essentially is that what we're seeing, you heard the weather forecast, we're seeing a little bit of relief as far as relative humidities and winds. Midweek, we may be seeing a little bit of rain, maybe, but we're also more importantly having a higher chance of thunderstorm activities. And as you guys well know, when we get thunderstorms nearby, even if it's 10, 20 miles away, those thunderstorms, when they dissipate, they send outflow winds in here and essentially it basically feeds the fire. And the unfortunate thing is that throws the fire in multiple directions. So for the next several days, we're going to have pretty much active to extreme fire behavior in here. We will start it off tonight. It's going to be a very active night tonight. Essentially, our winds start out from the southwest, fairly vigorous winds, and they go to the northwest, so it's pushing the fire. In this lower southern half, it's going to be pushing the fire more towards into the area of Rye. And then the winds will shift by morning from the east, and for the rest of the week, we have east winds pushing the fire away from, for the most part, away from the structures and everything, back up into the forest. But we still got a couple nights, couple days where we're going to be having to basically have fire activity, very active fire activity along the whole perimeter, except, of course, where it's hung up in that short grass prairie, and that's essentially where the fires run out of fuels. So, again, I'm available for questions afterwards, and I'll give you operations.
Brad Washoe, one of the operations section chiefs with the Alaska Incident Management Team. As far as our operations, we've been largely in what's called a defensive mode. So we've been responding to what the fire is doing. We haven't really been able to go offensive, and much of our work has been involved with what's called structure protection. So we have, I'd say, kind of 3 or 4 main areas where that has been the focus today, and I'd say for the most part the whole fire itself. I'll start up at the top in Branch 10. We've had the fire continue to make its movement towards the north, especially in that northeast corner. That area has light flashy fuels along with pinyon juniper, I guess mostly juniper, stringers, and it's been running in those areas. Also North Creek, it's been making its way up there, and it's continued to make that move up that direction. A lot of our, how we prioritize things is, one, those values at risk, but also what both the IMET and the fire behavior analysts were talking about as far as where is that alignment with both the weather and those fuels. And we're seeing that occur on the 165 corridor, especially in the Robb Road area today. We did have fire go across there, and fire is impacting the Isabel Lake area, so that is a major concern. We have been making efforts to do protection in there, but in some of those areas, the ability to defend those homes is limited just because they're positioned on the slope, the vegetation around them, and that sort of thing. But that has been a main area, and we are concerned with the way the forecast talks about, southwest going into northwest, and this whole flank along the southern portion. And this is also where we saw major movement last night, basically around the midnight hour. It came down towards Colorado City, and that continued almost till 5 o'clock in the morning. So this is another area that we're focusing on this evening and going into tomorrow. The one thing that we have going for us, we did start getting a lot of resources in today. So we're hoping yesterday we met in a small room with our night operations. Today we were actually out in the where we do our briefings with a large contingent of resources. So we're feeling a little bit better as far as not having to bring resources in on an emergency. We're getting resources positioned tonight so that we're ready to respond to what the fire does with us. And with the night operations, we fly aircraft as late as we can, but we don't fly those aircraft in the dark. So we have been having some effectiveness with Type 1 helicopters, so those are the large Black Hawk type helicopters. And we've also had some fixed wing scooper planes, CL-215s, that have been dipping out of Pueblo Reservoir and bringing water in. So they have been effective as slowing the fire, but those resources do need boots on the ground. And up until, I'd say basically today, we have not had those resources. So we are getting those in, and we are hoping to put those to work. And many of them are coming in, and we're putting them out on the fire line tonight. And that's it for operational update.
You bet. Thank you, Brad. Here you go, Joe, for your comments.
Yeah, good evening. Joe Lobiondo with the Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control and agency administrator for the state on this incident. We're working really closely with our federal partners to bring all the resources we can to certainly help us get around this incident as quickly as we can. We've got an amazing team here currently working really hard for us, and there's a lot of support from a lot of the counties, certainly Pueblo County and Custer County. It hasn't really affected Fremont and Huerfano, at least this incident yet, but we're here to support those folks as well. And obviously you can see this is on a very complex piece of ground from some very high elevation down to the lower grasslands, and there's a lot of complexity in there. And we got a really good team here working hard for us, and it's going to be on the landscape for quite a while, so we'll do the best we can. Hopefully with some moderated weather conditions we can make some progress. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Jim Pitts with the U.S. Forest Service.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Pitts. I'm the agency administrator for the Forest Service, and I'm stationed here in Pueblo, Colorado. I'd first like to take a minute just to thank all the agencies and the departments, the division, for coming down and forming one team. We've made a really good team. There's a lot of teamwork that's being put together on this, and now we got the Alaska team to keep us organized, provide some leadership, and lead us through this challenging event. As Joe mentioned, this fire is going to be with us for a long time. It's not only a large fire, it's a very complex, rugged topography, and it's going to be impacting our communities for a while. So with that, I ask for a little bit of patience, a little bit of understanding. Like I say, the team is here, we're working in cooperation, and what we really need from the people and the community is to be diligent. We recognize that this is a holiday weekend, and we really want folks to take some time, spend it with your family. But what we don't really need is another fire start. And although we typically support and actually celebrate the 4th of July with fireworks, I just want to put a message out there that be cognizant. We can put those fireworks away for another day, whether it's a rainy day or maybe we can celebrate with the coming snow. But even the sparklers, because we don't need one more spark. We need to be diligent. We need to support our community. We really think about our neighbors. We have a lot of our neighbors are being displaced because of these evacuations, and the evacuations are to be protective of public safety, provide safe work environment as we can for the firefighters. The ingress, egress is important. So be cognizant and think about our neighbors and think about how we can support our communities as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, very much for those comments. Nice prevention message in there also. Let's have some comments from our incident commander, Jake Livingston.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Jake Livingston, incident commander with Alaska Team 1. All of our firefighters, they're operating out in your communities, so I just wanted to say thanks for all your hospitality as we're doing that. It's been good to see. I just want to mention that Alaska Team and all the firefighters that we've brought in here so far, we recognize the trauma and the stress that this fire has been putting on the communities. I do want to reiterate our priorities. So our number one priority is life and property, protecting those. That includes residences. Another one of our priorities is just to fight this fire aggressively with the tools we have and taking advantage of any weather conditions that allow us to engage the fire in different ways. This is a challenging and aggressive fire for sure, and we've seen that since, over the last 5 days since it started, with the people that were fighting the fire before us, Team Colorado, locals, and I just want to say that we are building a large fire organization to respond to it. We've ordered in a lot of resources from outside this local area. That would include crews, engines, dozers, and aircraft. But it's not just building an organization of firefighters. Behind that, we have to build an organization of support. So if we have like 1,000 people here, we have to build a pretty big organization to provide food, water, places for people to sleep, equipment, and other supplies. I think really one of our keys to success has been mentioned by others here tonight and then reiterated through the last couple of days is just really building relationships, lines of communication, integration with just the local communities, the local firefighters representing the U.S. Forest Service, the state of Colorado, the counties, the municipalities, and the local fire protection areas. So really that's the key to our success. Again, I appreciate your support, and I'll take some questions later.
I do have a few questions already. Brad, if you want to field these, we have another operations chief in the room, so between the two of you. You made it pretty clear that we're chasing this fire point protection. Are we constructing fire lines out there?
We have been working a little bit with some of the local landowners as far as constructing some fire line on this, and I didn't talk about our successes, but we have had this east flank that's been pretty much holding the last several days. We've been patrolling that, and that has been holding. Other than that, we really haven't put a lot of fire line down. It's been mostly reactionary and doing structure protection. We just have not had the resources in here to put in actual fire line.
Fire behavior, the way the fire's been active.
That's another big factor. I mean, we're not going to put firefighters out there for fire. I mean, again, the IC mentioned life safety. We're not going to put firefighters out there and potentially impact them and have another fatality in Colorado this year.
You mentioned locals. Are we getting assistance with locals and their heavy equipment?
Some of the private landowners out in the flats have been providing some assistance. We have actually also been trying to fold in the local fire departments so that we're not both going after the same thing. And that's been one of our big emphasis coming in is trying to bring the local fire departments in with our fold. And I think we're having some success with that too. We're not all just, I mean, we're out of that initial attack response and we're kind of trying to have more of an organized response.
Are we getting hotshot crews coming in?
We have had a number of hotshots crews come in. Last night we had one crew came in, and as soon as they got here, we put them on the line. And I think we have 7 outstanding order for hotshot crews, and I don't have the number. Zach, what do we have for?
Right now we have 6.
We have 6 hotshot crews.
Yeah, we got a couple filled and a couple still.
And I know one was calling me right before this meeting saying they were going to be here at 9. So we are having hotshot crews coming in.
6 on hand and more on the way.
Yes.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, you mentioned at night we can't fly. It's unsafe for one. We don't have the equipment to fly and do this close to ground firefighting operations. Why aren't we starting earlier in the day?
As far as we're trying to get aviation resources up as early as possible. You know, this morning we had kind of an inversion over the fire, so smoke did limited some of our ability to actually see the fire, so that's one of the issues. We also have limitations. The pilots do have duty day limitations that constrict the amount of time they can fly. So we do try to have some aircraft come on early and some that we can keep on later, but we do have those duty day limitations for the pilots. And like I said, I think I believe we have four Type 1 helicopters. So the heavy helicopter, the Black Hawk type helicopters, is 3 of those that are Chinook, and then a Type 3 fixed or rotor wing, so a Bell helicopter.
Fire's been pretty active. It's been moving quite a bit. What does Pueblo need to be worried about? Well,
I think right now our biggest concern, Pueblo, is the smoke that we're putting over Pueblo and the air quality issues. It's going to take a rare event for fire to get to Pueblo. Between the fire itself and Pueblo, your more grassy type fuels, they're in a lot of places the grass has been grazed, so there's not a lot of fuels to carry the fire. So it would have to be a really rare event for fire to make it to Pueblo. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I really just think the fuels out there are not going to allow for fire to get to Pueblo.
We do have retardant planes responding to this, as well as water dropping helicopters. We have a contingent of 6 Type 1 helicopters now that are dropping water, supporting ground troops, firefighters on the ground.
We may have gotten some in today that I'm not aware of. I thought we had 4, at least at the beginning this morning we had 4.
You know, it's a shared resource for some of those other helicopters. It just depends on, you know, severity.
With all the fires that are in the area in Colorado, we're
IA is usually one that trumps any established fire, but sharing resources is huge. But we do, I believe, have 4 Type 1s dedicated to our fire.
And with that retardant, you know, we do look at the effectiveness of retardant, and that's something that we don't want to just be putting retardant down to put retardant down. We want to ensure that that's having an effect, and talking with our air attack. So we have aircraft flying above that are kind of directing the air operation. But talking with the air attack, that retardant is effective for about 6 hours, and anything beyond that, if we can't get a resource on the ground to hold things, then we're putting retardant down as checking the fire temporarily, but eventually the fire is going to make its way through that.
with the weather and the fire behavior, people are concerned about the 165 corridor. What is our plan as we're moving forward with that?
I mean, we do have a good contingent out there trying to check it, and we have looked at some opportunities to put dozer line and that sort of thing in there. It has made an advancement. Again, in the Robb Road area, it has established itself on the other side, and it had initially the initial started on the other side of the 165 road. So we do have fire on the on the west side of the road, but part of it is, our focus is on those structures that are in there, and we're not actually able to put fire line down to check it.
Yeah. Pretty much the other question I have to address here, I'll go ahead and answer. Thank you both. Zach, thank you for your support. A lot of folks are reaching out. They want to donate items, and we really appreciate that. The firefighters that are here, the incident management team that is here, these are professional firefighters. This is our job. This is what we do. We come prepared with what we need to do this. We're supported with food and supplies. And to have donations show up on an incident, it becomes an additional management problem. To take in food that we appreciate, home-baked goods, yummy, but we really need to watch what it is we're feeding our firefighters. We have federal standards. We have national federal caterers that are here feeding our firefighters. It becomes problematic to deal with things that show up on the incident, to manage them. Please think of other places in your community that can really need your help. The evacuation centers can need your help. There's going to be some families and such that are displaced because of the damage to the homes and places across the countryside. Many of the fire departments in the more rural areas, these are volunteer fire departments that are making ends meet on a very low budget. Help the people who are in your community. Help those that need help. We're here to help your community. We've come prepared to do that. We appreciate your thoughts, but please, we really don't need your donations. Thank you so much. Share those with somebody else in the community who does need that. And another point of contention that we're dealing with is acreage. The acreage is mapped from flights that fly over the fire, and they make a snapshot of the fire. And that data is downloaded, and it's pretty much readily available because of the speed of the internet, the availability of information from the National Fire Interagency Coordination Center, this information comes out quick, but it still needs to be interpreted and looked at by experts. They're mapping the whole perimeter of the fire, and they're not considering places that are not burned. They can't track the finite edges of the perimeter as they fly over. And once it's analyzed, a different acreage amount comes out. Pretty much while we've been talking here for these past 30 minutes or so, the acreage has fluctuated. It's grown. Some places it's not grown where they thought it'd have. It's a dynamic, ever-changing thing. Please don't get hung up on these different acreage numbers that are being reported through many, many different places. We're working with our GIS team here that's mapping the fire, and we're sharing with you accurate information as we have it. The acreage on our maps that we're putting out are time-stamped for the time that that acreage was calculated. Our morning update is time-stamped, and that's the acreage that's been calculated for us in the morning. It's hard to chase down acreage, so we could speak way too much about that. We are anticipating having a community meeting. The next one will be a face-to-face community meeting. We really wanted to have this one just to show that we are here, give you a little insight to what it is that we're doing. But we're looking for a place to host a meeting, starting here in Pueblo, and then we'll move around to other communities where evacuees are at, so that we can reach those people and have that face-to-face conversation that we all know is needed. With that, I want to say thank you to everybody. I hope that you enjoyed the information that we shared tonight. We will continue to answer your questions and look at your comments as they come in on the social media. Thank you all very much. Thank you to all that presented this evening.